I want to welcome you to this meeting devoted to the books that were awarded with the Bolognaragazzi Award for New Horizons, the special jury prize, and Prima category. So I give my warmest welcome to Luīze Pastore and Alice are the writer and the publisher of Liels, the book that was awarded is Laimes, bērni, which is the Laimes children, and text by Luīze Pastore, illustration by Evija Pintāne. I hope my pronunciation is acceptable. And Liels is set in Latvia, and it was printed in 2021. At my right, I give my warmest welcome to Guillaume Griffon, l'édition Lagrum, for the book that was awarded with the opera Prima. Is a wonderful book. Can you give it to me? Is La Reflets d'Ariette, de Marion Kadi. An incredible debut. We will talk about this later. We will start from the New Horizon Special Jury Prize, and if everyone is fine, the meeting is going to be held in English. Va bene per tutti se teniamo l'incontro in inglese? Direi di sì. Quindi grazie Stevie, teniamo tutto già in inglese. We go to the special prize of the jury, the New Horizon. So the book that got the New Horizon. I have to say it is something special in a way, because the book is sort of a novel, like an illustrated novel, which is something that doesn't happen. Normally, the books that are awarded are in the picture book formats. But the jury was very admired from the whole project of the book. So first of all, from the book design, the book is beautifully designed, starting from the cover that is enriched with golden details, but also from the illustrations that you can see inside that are really enriching the text, that is an adventure story set in the Venezuelan jungle, and with some illustrations that are evoking the notes of a traveler, so the sketchbooks, for example, or even botanical sketches. So it's the whole mood, let's say, of adventures that come back. And in this apparently classical book, the care for illustration and the relation between the illustrations and the text really moved, let's say, gave the jury members the will to give this special award. I have to say I was following the work of the jury, the international jury, and we made something that the interpreter could not even let me mention, that is the Google Translator with the picture, you know, because we wanted to read. Actually, we also had a Latvian jury in the Comics Award, Swiss, but living in Latin. And so we could also taste a bit of the sound rhythm, and I have to say that it was really catching. And Luīze Pastore is not at her first book and has an enormous success with this story and also with other books. I know that your text has been remodeled into animation, and so, you know, when stories start to migrate and to impress also other form of arts, it means that they still have things to say, as we say, maybe classic before the time, no? Classic of the future, I would say. So I would start from Alice Nigale, who is the editor of Liels, because I know you have to go, Alice, so we're all very, very busy, and also I think thrilled of being here. And also I want to mention something, just to feel a little bit that we are together. It's a great joy to meet again after 2 years in presence, and it's I don't know for you, for me I'm thrilled. I'm shivering. Of course, we wanted to make this a great joyful situation. Of course, our joy is as clouds, because what is happening in Ukraine, and the children suffering and the people suffering is making our heart really heavy. And I think that every one of us made this thought and then decided to carry on his work, because children's publishing and children's books community is a very peaceful one. So I just wanted to share these feelings with you before we start, because I think we go this year with this double and multiple level of feelings. So, Alice and Igale, let's go to your joyful acceptation of the award. Did you expect a award like that? How was for you to work on this book?
Hello. Of course, when you apply with books to some award, you always keep your fingers crossed that it will win. But I was double happy about this book to be chosen. As you mentioned, this is not common for most of the countries to do novel like this illustrated. But in Latvia, actually, this is quite a common practice to illustrate novels. And that means that the work we actually do for many years is now visible also abroad, also for international audience. And so that kind of like was a extra for us to see this book as a laureate. And it was actually a long journey. I think the first manuscript arrived to publishing house 8 years ago or something like this. And then we also had a reader who very well knows Alexander Laimes, who is the real person who inspired Luīze to write the book. And we gave the manuscript to him, and he read it and said, "Oh, there are many things I could comment on." So after a few meetings, Luīze said, "Okay, I will rewrite a lot of what I have written there." But then there's also that we are not only producing children books, but also working on audience. So there was several breaks, maternity leaves for Luīze, and this work was finished after 2 young readers coming into the world. And then we started to think about how it will look like, what could be the interpretation in illustrations. And that was a great idea of our editor of arts, Ruīze, who said, let's do it like a notebook, like these sketches. And as she's a teacher in the Academy of Arts and teaching young illustrators, she knew this, I think, super talented Evija Pintāne, who we invited to do the work also because she's a great traveler. She likes to travel. And I think that what she did was really matching Luīze's work and really give an extra feeling to the book. And then also Artis Briedis, who is our book designer, we worked with him closely for many years. He was inspired from old maps which was used in that times, and so he did the design with elements of that. And I think I was super happy and super surprised at the end myself too when I saw the physical copy, how the book and all those elements work together so closely and so good. So,
Thank you for that. I have to say the jury underlined this aspect. They said we want to award this book because we want to advocate for young readers, not only children but also boys and girls, to have very richly illustrated books. So we don't want to stop with illustration when we grow up, something like that. So this is a sign of it. And I have to say that when we've heard the incipit of the book, there was a very classical topos of the text saying, this is a story based on a true story. But then the tone, and then I would like to listen, of course, from you, your choices and your mood about that. The tone is witty, it's very lively, it's very fun. So as a very quick rhythm, and you as a reader have the doubt that the story is real or not, as it happens in the great adventure literature masterpieces, you know, that you're like, this is so true that maybe it's totally made up. So it's also this interesting mix among fiction and non-fiction that make the book so interesting. So, Luīze Pastore, would you like to tell us about the writing of it? I'm very interested in the style, actually, but of course, also what was the process of working on a real story, because that was a real adventure, a traveler, right?
So yes, so the story is based on real facts and a real personality. A Latvian explorer, adventurer, Alexander Laime, who lived in Venezuelan jungle and had 2 kids that lived with him in the jungle. He was extremely popular around the world. For me, this was not a new thing, because actually my signature thing is to write stories that are based on historical facts. I have also art detective series which are historical based about Latvian artists. Real facts inspire me, because usually the reality is much more unbelievable than our imagination. So I don't walk away from the reality. I usually take the facts and just build my fantasy around the real facts. Alexander Laime, the main character of the story, was a very unbelievable person. So he made up a lot of stories which could be true, and also they could be very unbelievable. So for me, it was like trying to find out this line where if I start to tell and write about reality, my readers will not believe me, you know? I had to make the reality even more less crazy. So, yeah, that was the biggest challenge about the real person and his children. So it took me 10 years to write about him, because there was so many stories to tell about him and his children, and so many layers of his life, because he was also a gold digger and diamond finder. They lived in the jungle hut but had a lot of gold, and at the same time he didn't care about them, because he was trying to find the big truth and find inner freedom while living in the jungle. So the story is basically about actually finding your inner freedom and what it takes to sacrifice to be a really free person, and what it takes for the children, your children, to see you drifting apart because you want to be completely free. And when you have children, you're not a free person. You're never fully free if you have children. So this is also a family emotional tragedy story at the end. Yeah, that was very personal and emotional for me to write. And I also I had an idea about the visual side of my story. I didn't want it to be colorful and cheerful, even though I know that I write very, as I said, very light as an adventure story. But living in jungle is not colorful. It is very dangerous. It is sometimes really cold. The rain is falling like, I don't know how many months a year. And it's not that fun as it might seem, you know. And, a lot of dangerous animals there, predators there. So I had an image that this has to be a black and white illustrated story to show the actual colors of the fear living in the jungle and how it is for a child to live in the jungle. It's not that fun, no. But when I saw the real illustrations from Evija, my illustrator, Evija Pintāne, I was really, really shocked at the beginning, but in a good way, because she did something I did not expect at all. For the first time in my life, I saw that my characters were not drawn. When you read the story, you imagine the characters so that you empathize with it and you become the character yourself. She did not draw their faces or nothing. It's just the feeling. She gave an extra elevated feeling to the story. And I think without these illustrations, it might be just an adventure story, but she picked that another layer. She saw the another layer and brought it up. So I'm very grateful for her, really, she dig deep in the story.
Thank you, Luīze. And I have a question. It was you finding the illustrator for the book, right?
It was our editor of arts, who is also teacher of illustrators at the Academy of Arts. So she knew the illustrator, and we discussed about this idea that it should be black and white. And then she said, "Okay, I know the girl. She might fit." So it was editorial team who did the choice.
Yeah, incredible work from an independent publisher. I want to underline that, and the sensitivity of crossing the lines, so boundaries, fiction and non-fiction, and also picturing and not picturing, I would say, and interpreting and not interpreting, and also the different shades that characterize the life of children, for example, even in adventurous or apparently adventurous situations. So we can say that in the sign of complexity, the books come out so pleasant, so readable, and thanks to a sophisticated work, I would say, a publishing, editorial, and also writing work. So I want to congratulate you once again, and I want to remember you that the books that are awarded with the Bolognaragazzi Award are on display. This year we have we have an exhibition of 100 books that were selected among the more than 1,000 that were candidates for the Bolognaragazzi Award. And you find it's very close, because when I was coming here, I passed by, so I think it's in the same hall. It's the amazing bookshelf, so you will see 100 books selected from the ones that were candidated, and on display you also have the books that have been awarded this year, so you can go through the pages of the book. Thank you for that, and I think you have to go. Thank you very much for being with us, and Luīze, if you want to stay, we will pass. Grazie, thank you very much. And now we will go to another award. This is an award that we really care about, is the opera Prima. We established it almost 10 years ago, and in memory of the one that was the first art director of the Bologna Children's Book Fair, Giovanni Lanzi, who designed the logo, the initial logo of BCBF. And this award goes to a publisher that has the audacity and that is brave enough to believe in debut. And what happened for Lagrum, we know very well Lagrum for other wonderful books. You have an incredible catalog, and this picture book spoke directly to the art of the jury members, and it's, I have to say, a lucky book. I think it's like a perfect picture book, I would say. And Marion Kadi, she presents a story of a little girl who is like sort of adopted from the shadow of a lion, a dead lion. At the beginning, there is the death of a lion, and this shadow of the lion goes and look for someone to be adopted from, and so the shadow finds Ariette, and Ariette has to deal with this lion soul. I like this expression. The jury wrote her lion soul. So from from this point on, what you can... grazie Roberto, se lo vuoi sfogliare, grazie mille. From this point on, you have this story when you have these beautiful colors that are dynamic as water in itself it is. Because I said shadow, but I would say maybe reflection is in English, right? And thank you. And so, you know, the myth of the reflection, it comes to us, of course, the idea of Narcissus. And when you look at your reflection, what do you see? This is the subject. And what happens is that Ariette has to make friendship with this reflection. And I have to say that while the story goes on, very quick, very synthetic, very lucky also in the text, the images, they display this incredibly beautiful and colored kind of fauvist color and artworks that are really deeply in connection with the theme of growing up and maintaining our metamorphic nature, I would say. So Guillaume Griffon, congratulations for the book as a first thing, and I'd like to know how was the meeting with Marion Kadi and how this beautiful book was born.
Merci Marcella, je suis désolé, je vais parler en français. Alors, Marion Kadi, c'est une artiste, au départ, c'est une artiste peintre, et qui avait plutôt un travail à destination d'un public adulte dans ses peintures. Et nous, on l'a rencontrée, je ne sais plus si c'est nous qui l'avions contactée ou si c'est elle qui nous avait sollicité pour son travail à destination des adultes, dans le cadre d'une revue de société illustrée. Voilà. Donc c'est venu comme ça, la rencontre. Et à partir de là, son univers, il nous a semblé... son univers graphique, ses peintures, pouvoir s'adapter aussi pour un public jeunesse. Et donc c'est nous qui lui avons un peu soufflé l'idée de travailler un album, si cela l'inspirait, à destination des enfants. Voilà. Donc ça c'est le point de départ.
So the starting point was that Marion Kadi is in fact a painter, and a painter especially for adults. We in fact met her, or I don't know whether it was we met her and encouraged her, or she met us, but we met her in the context of painting and work for adults. And we contacted her for a magazine, but for adults. And so that was the beginning. We thought that her painting was in fact quite suitable as a universe to be adapted for children, and therefore, if you like, we breathed the idea into her that, you know, her painting really could be something for children, not just adults.
Et c'est un livre sur lequel il y a eu un travail graphique très très long parce que justement elle a dû adapter son style, son univers à destination des enfants. Donc il y a eu beaucoup de recherches. Elle est partie au départ sur des collages. Elle a cherché plutôt à s'éloigner de ce qu'elle maîtrisait, ce qu'elle savait faire, en se disant il faut que j'adapte justement la technique pour les enfants. Donc elle a essayé du collage de papier peint. Bon, et ça fonctionnait pas. Donc il y a eu vraiment un échange, une direction artistique assez longue avec elle. Que ça a pris à peu près 2 ans. L'histoire est venue assez vite. Elle a trouvé cette histoire. Voilà, je crois que le point de départ, c'était l'idée qui lui a plu, c'est le personnage du reflet du lion. Voilà. Et à partir de là, elle a inventé ce reflet du lion qui cherche quelqu'un à refléter. Donc ça, c'est venu assez vite, je crois, chez elle. Mais par contre, la technique graphique, voilà, il y a eu beaucoup d'échanges et ça a pris à peu près 2 ans de travail pour aboutir à l'album.
From a graphic design point of view, from a graphic artistic point of view, in fact, she had to work on it about 2 years because she had to change her style, she realized. She did a lot of work doing also collages of painted pieces of paper because she knew that she had to adapt her style to be suitable for children. It took, as I say, a long time, about 2 years. As to the story, that came quite quickly. Right from the beginning, she sort of had this idea of a lion, the reflection of a lion, and she decided to go for that. So that was quick, but the actual graphic, artistic side was a long job.
Voilà, donc il a fallu la pousser. Alors nous, chez l'Agrumes, ce qu'on adore, c'est voilà, les couleurs, donc comme tu disais, assez fauvistes, voilà, très lumineuses. Donc ça, c'est la direction artistique qu'on a un peu toujours avec nos illustrateurs, de les pousser vers aller chercher des couleurs primaires et assez contrastées, très lumineuses, très gaies. Donc voilà, on l'a accompagnée et elle a vraiment trouvé là son écriture.
We at Lagrum tend to push our authors and our illustrators to choose these fantastic colors, these very bright, if you like, fauvisque colors, very luminous, also very happy colors as well. And that's something that we tend to push, or we tend to like at our publishing house.
And do you have other project with Marion Kadi on the table right now?
Alors, Marion Kadi n'est pas là parce qu'elle vient d'avoir un petit bébé et c'est une illustratrice française, mais elle habite aux États-Unis, donc elle n'a pas pu se déplacer à la foire malheureusement. Elle a beaucoup hésité parce qu'elle était très fière de recevoir le prix. Donc là pour l'instant non, malheureusement non. Là elle s'occupe de son bébé, donc il n'y a pas d'autres projets. Et ce sont vraiment des livres d'auteurs. C'est elle qui invente l'histoire, donc ça demande quand même une maturation assez longue. Donc là pour l'instant, moi évidemment je la sollicite, mais il n'y a pas d'autres projets en cours.
Marion Kadi has just in fact had a baby. She also, even if she's French, she lives in the US. She's of course very proud to have won the prize, but unfortunately couldn't be here. Unfortunately, we don't have any ongoing projects with her. I mean, her project at the moment is her newborn, but certainly we will, it's something also that takes quite a long time to mature, but certainly we'll stay behind her and push her to do something.
So please bring to Marion Kadi our congratulations for both the award and the baby.
Thank you
It's
very
very
much.
important project. It's a very important creative project. And Guillaume, did you already sell the rights of this book to other countries?
Oui, c'est un livre qui a déjà été remarqué en France, qui a été remarqué par le grand salon du livre jeunesse en France. Il a été exposé déjà, donc oui, c'est un livre qui a pas mal séduit à l'international quand même. Il y a une singularité dans les images qui a plu. Alors je ne sais plus exactement, on l'a vendu en Corée, en Italie d'ailleurs, je crois.
En Italie pour...
Ah bah, écoutez,
Non, tu le sais
je
pas.
crois que c'est Orecchio Acerbo, mais je
Ok.
ne suis pas sûr.
We will check it out.
Yeah, okay. This is a book that has been remarked quite considerably in France. It was at the Salon du Livre in France, and in fact it was liked a great deal by many people, and certainly on the international market. It's very singular in type, and this was something that was liked. We've sold it to Korea and also Italy. I think, or like Acerbo, but I'm not quite sure. But anyway, it has received quite a lot of international acclaim.
I think if there's some question in the audience, you let me know. Otherwise, I know this is the first morning of the fair, so we are full of emotions and of beautiful books. I congratulate again our winner of the Bolognaragazzi Award for Opera Prima and the special jury prize for New Horizon. Thank you for being with me and with us, and enjoy the fair, you all. Thank you.